Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start out by giving all praise, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, BAHASHAM, QADASH, double honors, elders, apostles, great mills, and every will. Peace and blessings to the elect of Israel, Shalom, and the Papa Ball. Back here when I listen to the spirit and power of YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, Lord, when this video is edifying. And this is just more proof on the LASHAWAN, QADASH, LASHAWAN meaning tongue, QADASH meaning holy, alright, or set apart. And that's referring to the Hebrew, the Paleo Hebrew, which is the language of our forefathers. All right, us being the descendants of the 12 tribes of Israel, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians predominantly over here in the western hemisphere of the world. All right, and those scattered abroad whose seed line and lineage go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, and you have the Los Lunas Decalogue stone. The significance behind the Los Lunas Decalogue stone serves many things, but mainly I want to point out two things that indicate the fulfillment of biblical prophecy. First, I would like to go to 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, starting at verse 40. It says, those are the 10 tribes, which the 10 tribes represent the northern kingdom. All right. The northern kingdom and the southern kingdom split up, all right, during the latter reign or the end of King Solomon's reign in Israel. And 10 tribes, aka the northern kingdom, was given over to Jeroboam, all right, and those that followed after him. And the southern kingdom, all right, which was 2 tribes, which technically consisted of 3 tribes, but mainly in 2 tribes, which was Judah and Benjamin. Then Levi was pretty much, I'd like to say the word, I guess you could say, migrated, if you will, force of migration from the hands of Jeroboam back with the southern kingdom. All right. So pretty much the southern kingdom abode of Judah, Benjamin, Levi. And what Jeroboam did was he made of the basis of the people priests, like the scriptures talk about, you know. But nonetheless, the 10 tribes represent the northern kingdom, which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea, the king whom Salmanassar, king of Assyria, led away captive. All right. And he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land. All right. So pretty much the point being, during the time of the Assyrian captivity, which you can go back to 2 Kings, the 17th chapter. All right. The Lord removed Israel out of that land, referring to the northern kingdom. 2 Kings 17 and verse 6. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried away Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in Hobor by the river of Gozan and the cities of the Medes. And Samaria represents the northern kingdom, also aka Ephraim. All right. I'll get the scripture to back it up. All right, Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 9. And the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is Remaliah's son. If you will not believe, surely you shall not be established. All right. And Samaria is synonymous with Ephraim. All right. Ephraim representing the northern kingdom. Okay. Just like how Judah represents the southern kingdom. Okay. So it says right there, during the time of Hoshea, king of Assyria, he took Samaria and carried away Israel into Assyria. All right. So the Lord removed them out of their land. Okay. And that right there was also biblical prophecy. Okay. And so the Lord said if we were to go off, he was going to remove the people out of his sight, scatter them from their lands. So let's go back to 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 40. Read it again. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea, the king whom Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. And that further country was over here in the Americas. All right. Now the Americas have been discovered and been visited, but mankind never dwelt there. All right. And we know that going back to the time of King Solomon with the Navy of Hiram. All right. And they came over here to the Americas, and they brought apes and peacocks and, different diverse things. All right. That were native to these lands. And that's why you have the Olmec heads, because the Olmec heads served as pretty much mark points for the Zidonians, or those different Hamites that would come over here for King Solomon. And that was also biblical prophecy. All right. Let's get that scripture real quick. Genesis 49:13. Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon. All right. Now, when you go into an ancient map of the nation of Israel, all right, Zebulun's border is not by Zidon. Okay. However, all right, that represents, those Olmec heads in the territories where Zebulun would dwell in the Americas. All right. Zebulun being the people of Guatemala to Panama. All right. The so-called, Central Americas. Okay. So that's the point on that right there. And it says, shall dwell at the haven of the sea. Because what do you have in Panama? You have the Panama Canal, which is a haven of ships. Operating around the clock, the canal seems some 40 vessels pass through each day, including tankers, cargo ships, yachts, and cruise ships. All right. Now, this is another one. How many ships use the Panama Canal in an average year? 14,000 vessels. The Panama Canal changed the world. All right. The canal was completed in 1914. 14,000 vessels now pass through the Panama Canal each year, saving their crews the 7,900-mile trip they'd otherwise have to take around South America's southern tip. All right. So that's what it means when Zebulun is a haven of ships. Okay. Now, continuing on, going back to 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter. All right. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. Okay. Which is talking about the Americas, which is also known as Arsareth. In the Hebrew, translates to Achar Aratazah, which means another land. All right. Achar meaning like another or other, and Aratazah meaning land. Okay. It says that they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land, and they entered into the river, into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then shewed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely a year and a half. And the same region is called Arsareth, Achar Aratazah, meaning another land. Then dwelt they there until the latter time, which is now. All right. And now when they shall begin to become. Yeah, because when YAHAWASHI comes back, that's where the northern kingdom will be. Here in the Americas, majority of the northern kingdom, okay? Because you do have them scattered amongst the four corners of the globe. That's why YAHAWASHI said what he said. All right. And that's why you have something called Quetzalcoatl or Quetzalcoatl. All right. And you have other things too. All right, which was a depiction of YAHAWASHI. And what's the story? It says that, he died for his people, and one day he's going to come back and deliver them. All right, that's YAHAWASHI's story, because, you're not going to, we believe through the spirit that YAHAWASHI, he visited the Americas, and gave them this ministry, gave them this truth. All right, before he went back to the spirit realm. Okay, it's John 10 and verse 16. It says, other sheep I have which are not of this fold, meaning which is not of this house. Because you had two houses in Israel. You had the northern house and the southern house. You had the house of Judah and the house of Ephraim. All right. It says, or also you can look at it as the Israelite foreigners too. Because really what it was during these times was just the circumcision. Which you had some sprinkles of the northern kingdom amongst the southern kingdom during these times. Like you had Anna, the prophetess, who was an Asherite, You had, diverse people who are still of the northern kingdom who still went to Jerusalem, like Tobit, all right? But majority was southern kingdom, all right? It says, and there shall be one fold. It says, them also I must bring in, they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd, man. All right? Yeah. Okay? Because we're all one big family. You know, and Yahawashi, he's that one shepherd. Like it tells you in Ezekiel, the Lord's going to bring them a shepherd. He's going to be that one shepherd over the people. All right? Even David, you know, but Yahawashi, he is the head of the church, so to speak. And King David is directly under Yahawashi. All right? That's why 1 Peter, the 5th chapter, which calls what Peter said to what? He said that Yahawashi was the chief shepherd. All right, and Peter, if you can receive it, is King David in the reincarnation. Nonetheless, the Los Lunas Decalogue stone goes to show you that, you know, that right there goes to prove that that's biblical prophecy being fulfilled right before our eyes, because it says that they might keep this commandments that they never kept in their own land. All right? Going to show you that our people are not originally from the Americas, but they were inhabiting it before Esau came over here. As well, this is a significant artifact because this also further proves the use of the LASHAWAN QADASH, which is the holy tongue, the Paleo Hebrew. All right? This is Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 18, and this is really for edification and as well, you know, to discredit and disprove those who say we don't have the Hebrew, we don't have the biblical Hebrew, we don't have, you know, the proper names and, you know, so on and so forth, because, you know, Paleo Hebrew is well and alive. Okay, this is Isaiah 19 and 18. In that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan and swear to the Lord Yahawah of hosts. One shall be called the city of destruction. Okay. So in what day? In these times that we're in now, in the latter days. All right. That's what we're doing in the latter days. We're remembering ourselves, man. And our language has a lot to do. Language in any heritage culture has a lot to do with an individual, so to speak. And that is also biblical prophecy. This is Baruch chapter 2. Starting at verse 29. If ye will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations, where I will scatter them. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves. Here we are in the land of our captivities, scattered amongst the 4 winds, remembering ourselves. Okay? And a part of us remembering the ways of our forefathers is remembering the language we spoke. All right? Which is that LASHAWAN QADASH, the Ibarya, the Hebrew, you know, the Paleo Hebrew, okay? And shall know that I am the Lord Yahawah, their power, for I will give them a heart and ears to hear, and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity and think upon my name. How are we going to think upon the Lord's name if we don't have the true Hebrew? Because the Lord's true name in Hebrew is Yahawah. Yahawah meaning he is, he exists. That's what the Tetragrammaton is all about. YAHAWAH. All right, and in particular, you had the tribe of Gad, a.k.a. the tribe of Gad, but it's pronounced God in the Hebrew, all right, which means troop. All right, the so-called Native American Indians, the North American Indians, all right. A lot of times, what would they say? They would say YAHAWAH, all right, but YAHAWAH and Yahawah, all right, sound very similar to each other, all right, pretty much because what? They knew where they came from, man. They knew that they were the children of Israel. As well, when you read a book called Lost Tribes in the Promised Lands, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's by James Adair. All right, he said that in the book, he quoted that a lot of the rites and the you know, things and rituals that the so-called North American Indians would do would be similar to them of the children of Israel, man. And he came to the conclusion that they were of the lost tribes of Israel. Okay. All right. And you have more further evidence and artifacts going to prove you that the so-called tribe of God, first like it, the so-called North American Indians, which are known as the tribe of God, a.k.a. the tribe of Gad. All right. You know, had affiliation with Hebrew. Okay. Because you have something also called the Bat Creek Stone. All right. You also have something called the what else do you have? Slack. You have the Moabite stone, which that's not in particular about the tribe of Gad, but that also helps back up the Paleo Hebrew. You have the Los Lunas Decalogue stone, which is what we're dealing with today. All right, and then you also had another gentleman by the name of Chief Joseph. All right, he had an artifact from his forefathers that were passed down, and it was in Assyrian Hebrew, man. All right, now why is that significant? Because the Assyrians is the ones who took over the northern kingdom, all right, in slavery, and they spoke a form of that Hebrew, but it was translated in the Assyrian letters. All right, and the tribe of Gad is a part of the northern kingdom, man, whom was under slavery from the Assyrians, man. Okay, so this right there, the reason why this is important because it helps further prove biblical prophecy, man. All right, and as well, you know, if the Paleo Hebrew wasn't a thing, then you know why does it cost $4.99 on the App Store? Okay, if you go into the App Store, you type in the Paleo Hebrew app. It's for your keyboard. It costs $4.99 on the App Store. If it's not a relevant thing, why is Esau charging people money to download the Paleo Hebrew? Because clearly it's a legitimate thing, and they know that, but they're trying to hide that from us because they don't want us to know who we truly are. As the scriptures say in Psalms 83rd chapter, all right, Psalms 83 and verse 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. All right, right, because we were once, what? The lost sheep of Israel, but now the Lord is allowing us to remember ourselves in the land of our captivity. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Yeah, YAHAWAH. And ultimately, by them cutting us off from our power, they're going to cut us off from our heritage as well, as was prophesied in Jeremiah 17:4. We were cut off from our land as well, our culture. Okay. Also in the book of Hosea, this is Hosea chapter 3, starting at verse 4. For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without a teraphim. Okay, right. Pretty much, you know, we lost our heritage, man. Okay. Afterward shall the children of Israel return and seek the Lord Yahweh, their power, which is Yahweh. All right. Yahweh. Okay. Which goes back to the Los Lunas Decalogue stone. It's not Jehovah. All right. Because there is no J. There's no E. There's no O's. There's no V's. All right. There's no F's. There's no U's in the ancient Paleo Hebrew. Okay. Afterward shall the children of Israel return and seek the Lord Yahweh, their power, and David, their king, and shall fear the Lord Yahweh and his goodness in the latter days. Okay, going back to what they said, what? In the latter days, you would have the tribes dwelling over here in the Americas, man. So this is the Los Lunas Decalogue stone broken down. All right, and it says, I am. You see what it says, but it's really Yahweh, okay? Going back to the Hebrew, okay? It's not Yahweh. It's not Jehovah. It's Yahweh. All right. As you can see, Moabite stone, same thing. All right. I am Yahweh, your power, who has taken you out of the land of Egypt. There shall not be other gods before me. All right. All right. Before my face. So it says not to take any idols, not to take the name of Yahweh in vain, keep the Sabbath day holy. All right. So you can see, you know, they're trying to pretty much recreate Exodus 20. You know, they're over here breaking it down, and it's like bits and pieces of Exodus 20. But that goes to show you what? That they might keep the statutes in another land, which they kept not in their own land, as it was prophesied. This is Exodus chapter 20, verse 1. And the Most High spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord Yahweh thy power, which I brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt make unto thee thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord, thy power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and shewing mercy unto the thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord, thy power, in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy power in it. Thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rest in the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy power giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. All right, and that's the point on that right there. That was the what you people know today as the Ten Commandments. Okay. So that right there goes to show you further proof of the Los Lunas Decalogue stone. And here's a picture of it. All right. And you can clearly see that it's written in the likeness of ancient Paleo Hebrew. In conclusion, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH, double honors to those apostles, the great Muslim, the will. Peace and blessings to the elect of Israel. Shalom and above all. This is another edition of more proof on the LASHAWAN QADASH, the Paleo Hebrew. All right, and we're going to continue to keep pushing, man. All right, because, you know, this is a part of our language. As the scriptures say, the Lord said he was going to give us that true holy language, man. All right, Zephaniah 3:9, for then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may call upon the name of the Lord, Yahawah, to serve him with one consent. And that's the Paleo Hebrew. That's the pure language, the LASHAWAN QADASH, the holy tongue. Called LAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, QADASH. All praise to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Double honors to those apostles, great Muslim, well, peace and blessing to the elect of Israel. Shalom and above all.